There was once a pot who hated itself. Every day it compared itself to another pot that was perfect. It believed it was broken, useless, a failure. But one day it discovered that what it thought was its biggest flaw had been creating something beautiful all along. In a quiet little village, there lived a humble water carrier. Every morning he walked to the river with a wooden pole across his shoulders. Hanging from each side of that pole were 2 clay pots. One pot was smooth, strong, and perfect. It carried every drop of water back home without losing a single one. But the other pot had a long crack running down its side. By the time the water carrier returned home, that cracked pot had lost nearly half of its water. Day after day, the perfect pot felt proud, and the cracked pot felt ashamed. For 2 whole years, this happened every single day. The perfect pot always arrived full. The cracked pot always arrived half empty. And with every trip, the cracked pot's sadness grew deeper. It looked at the perfect pot and thought, "Why can't I be like that? Why am I so damaged? Why can't I do the one thing I was made to do?" It believed it was a burden. It believed it was disappointing the man who carried it. And one morning as they returned from the river, the cracked pot could no longer hold in its pain. With a trembling voice, it said, "I am ashamed of myself." The water carrier stopped walking. He gently lowered the pole and asked, "Why?" The cracked pot replied, "Because of my crack, I leak water all the way home. For 2 years, I have only done half my job. I am broken. I have wasted your effort. I'm sorry." The old water carrier smiled, not with disappointment, but with kindness. Then he said, "On our way home today, I want you to look carefully at your side of the path." So they walked again, and for the first time, the cracked pot truly looked. Along its side of the road were rows of beautiful wildflowers, yellow, pink, blue, purple. They danced in the sunlight. They filled the dusty path with life. The cracked pot was confused. When they reached home, the water carrier said, "Did you notice something?" The cracked pot whispered, "The flowers." The man nodded and said, "Yes, I have always known about your crack, so I planted flower seeds on your side of the path. Every day as we walked home from the river, you watered them." The cracked pot stood silent, and the man continued, "The perfect pot carried water, but you carried beauty. Because of what you thought was your weakness, this path has been filled with flowers for years. I pick these flowers and bring them home. They decorate our table. They bring joy to others." Then he smiled and said, "You were never broken. You were simply different, and your difference had a purpose." From that day on, the cracked pot never looked at itself the same way again. It no longer saw only a flaw. It saw meaning. It saw purpose. And it understood something powerful. Not everything that looks broken is useless. Sometimes the parts of you that you hate the most are the very parts that make you special. So stop thinking you are less than others. Stop focusing only on your flaws, because what you call a weakness today may be creating beauty in ways you cannot yet see.